Hello, I'm going to give you a general overview of Frequency Finder version 2.0 to show you how to use the main page. Frequency Finder is an add-on to Sirius, Kepler, and Pegasus software. Those programs come from Cosmic Pattern Software and www.astrosoftware.com. Frequency Finder was created by myself, Linda Berry, and it requires Sirius, Kepler, or Pegasus to run. It will not run on its own. It evaluates whatever chart you have up on the screen in your software program, figuring out what the strongest vibrations are for that chart, what the patterns are in each of those vibrations, and so on. Okay, so why does this matter? There are a lot of vibrations off of an astrology chart. At this point, we're looking at the first 360 vibrations, but that's a lot to look at. So what we need to know to be able to more effectively work with the chart is which vibrations are the strongest. And this is important because in vibrational astrology, we've found that the vibrations show the wiring of a person's life. It shows the things that they really need to be doing and experiences in their lives in order for them to feel fulfilled. And particularly the strongest ones, if they aren't being a part of the life, then the person tends to feel like something's missing. So this gets pretty important. Okay, so what? Why does this matter again? Well, finding out the strongest vibrations helps a person understand those feelings they've been having, the random thoughts that pop up from time to time. I can't tell you how many times I've read a chart and talked about the strongest vibrations and had the person say, I've been thinking about that. Or they'll say, yeah, I'm doing that, but it sure helps to realize that that's really focused in my chart. On some level, we do sense where we need to be, but getting this confirmed can make a big difference in a person's life. Okay, so Frequency Finder evaluates each of the first 360 vibrations, just as you would read it in vibrational astrology in a chart. We have certain rules for determining what's going on. Now, the score that Frequency Finder gives you is determined by the strength of all the patterns in a given vibration. So first, let's look at how to get Frequency Finder up. When you are in a chart, if you have Frequency Finder installed, you go to the other menu item and you will see Frequency Finder as the first thing on the in the menu. So it comes up and you see here that you have two windows of vibrations. The one on the left is the first 32 vibrations of the chart, given with the strongest one first, the weakest one last. The window on the right is the top 32 vibrations out of the 360 that Frequency Finder looked at. And again, they are listed in order. Okay. Now, what is evaluated when Frequency Finder looks at a vibration? First, the aspect patterns are evaluated, and this is based on how tight the orbs of the planets are and how many planets are in a circuit. In vibrational astrology, we require that there be 3 planets in a circuit. Tighter orbs and more planets increase the score for that pattern. Now, in addition to the aspect patterns, We also look at midpoints, isotraps, and hypermidpoints. And these are evaluated based on the midpoints involved, relationship between the midpoints, overlap from one midpoint to another, and usually we use a 1.5 degree orb, and that's what Frequency Finder uses. These scores are added together to provide a score for each evaluation. So here, as you can see, is the main display for Frequency Finder that we already looked at. All right, so what information are you being given? This is just a little piece of the chart display here, where we can talk about what that information means. Okay. The first item in brackets is the order of the vibration, 1 being the strongest and 32 being the weakest of the ones listed. When it says V102, that's vibration 102. The number in brackets next to it is how strong this particular vibration was. And then after the equal sign, you will see a factoring of the vibration if it's not a prime. Notice number 12 has 257. That's because that is a prime number and there's nothing to factor. Okay, now, sometimes, let's go back to the form itself and you'll see. Sometimes there's nothing after the equal sign. Look at number 17. It's V306. It has an equal sign and nothing after it. That's because the factoring's too big to fit in the window. So, but if you put your cursor over it, you'll see at the top, V306, 100.89 points, and there's its factoring. Now, when you click on it, you're going to see the factors over here in the window in the middle, whether they were listed by the equal sign or not. And we'll talk about modulus shortly. You will not see that when you initially get your program. Okay, now you've got vibrations in 2 lists here, and you can click on any of the listings with these little buttons next to them. And when you click on them, you can see that that particular vibration goes in the blue box. If I click on a different one, that one goes in the blue box. So once you have that, you will see the factors in the middle. You will also have the option of clicking on the blue box. And be sure it's the one you want before you click on it. And when you click on it, you're going to get another window. Well, we're not going to talk about this window in this video. It will be a separate video because there's a lot going on there. So that's technique 1. Go and click in one of the lists and select a vibration, and it will come up in the blue detail box. The second technique is to select your vibration yourself. All the vibrations aren't listed here, only the strongest ones. You may want to see what's going on in another vibration, or you may not want to hunt down through one of these lists to find the vibration. So you just write its number in the yellow box. Like if I wanted to see 149, I don't know if it's in one of those lists, it doesn't matter. I just click on put 149 in and click on show this vibration, and there it is. Right up there in the detail box, I find out it's a prime. I can see its modulus pattern. So any of the 360 vibrations can easily be selected using the yellow box. Okay, now, the next thing on the main page, this I should have said, this in the middle, I'm going to call the control panel, because this is where all the things happen that you want to make happen with Frequency Finder. So now, at this point, we're going to talk about the top 10 hit list. That's this gold button down here. And this is summaries. this is summaries of particular patterns that are in an evaluation of all of the vibrations. So like take the quincunxes here. Okay, so it comes up and it tells you the first 10 quincunx patterns, and it gives you the vibration they're in. We'll go look at the details of that in a minute. Basically, this has looked at all 360 vibrations and picked out the 10 strongest ones. So these are the 10 quincunx patterns that are most strongly impacting you. So, okay. Now, when you look at this, it gives you some information. The number in parentheses is what the order of it is, first, second, third, strongest. The V343 means it's vibration 343. This curly bracket value here gives you the factoring of it, just like you saw on the main page. And this first one is especially important to look at because you might not be entirely familiar with this notation. 343 is 7 times 7 times 7. And the way this is written when you want to condense it down is as 7 with an up caret 3, which means 7 to the power of 3, which means you take 7 and multiply it together 3 times. So you're going to see those periodically. Here's 2 up caret 2, which is 2 times 2, which is what 4 is. So it's showing you the power after the number if that's appropriate. And you can see down here, this one says 13 times 11. This last number is how strong that quincunx pattern is. And basically all the quincunxes in that vibration have been added together to get a number. This doesn't tell you how many quincunxes are there. But you know that there's at least 3 in, if you got 2.49, it could be 4, could even be 5, depending on how strong they are. You have to go look at the vibration. Now that's another thing. You cannot pull up the vibration from here. This is just a list. When you see, here it is right here. And you can't do anything with it but look at it and get the information. Say you wanted to pull up 343 and see what's going on in it. What you have to do is go from your top 10 hit list quincunxes here, see? Okay, there it is. Now, go to Frequency Finder and ask it for the information. Put 343 in the yellow box, click on the green box, and now you've got 343 up there, and you can click on the detail and find out a whole bunch more about what's going on with it. Okay, so now the next list I want to make a comment about is the Augmented HyperMidpoint list. And I can tell you that augmented hypermidpoints are combinations of midpoints that greatly strengthen a vibration. I found these when I was programming version 2 of Frequency Finder. For those of you that know what strings and pyramids are, I started programming Frequency Finder to find the strings and pyramids, and I found out that there were extremely strong combinations of midpoints that are influencing some of the charts. And you're not going to have any idea which ones. And so I created a list that would identify where the strongest patterns are. And yes, there's a lot to know about augmented hypermidpoints, and I will be doing a workshop for those who would like to learn more about these important patterns. The thing is that these patterns have always been in our charts. Once you look at them, nobody's going to question whether they're there. But we didn't realize they were there because it took a computer to find them. Now, the other 2 hit lists are the North Node hit list and the South Node hit list, and they are just like the Quincunx hit list. So there's nothing there that we haven't already talked about. Now, the next thing you may want to do is change the vibration base. You've got a chart, hopefully a natal chart. And by the way, it's really a good idea to bring up the natal chart when you're using Frequency Finder, not one of the vibrations. Because if you bring up a vibration, Frequency Finder can't get back to the natal chart. That's the bottom level it's got. And you're going to find it confusing. Be sure you're on a natal chart when a base chart, what we would call a natal chart, when you call it Frequency Finder. Now, the thing is that off of that natal chart, all of the vibrations have like families. You can take any vibration, you can say like 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 3, 7 times 4, up to 7 times 360. And if you were on the 7 vibration chart and you clicked on Frequency Finder, you're going to get this list. You're going to get the list of everything off of the 7th vibration. But as I said, you're not going to be able to get back to the natal chart, so you're probably going to get kind of confused. So if you go in the natal chart, you bring up Frequency Finder, you have a way to select any family of vibrations you want to see information on. So the way you do this is you go to this rose button here that's called Change Vibration Base in the control panel, and you click on it. And you can see this window comes up. All right. It's on Use Source Data. You can change the foundation vibration to whatever you want to, up to 360. So if you click on Change the Foundation Vibration to, it's going to put the cursor over here in this box, and you put a number in. So let's put in 7 since we were talking about that. And in order to make, if you click cancel, it's just going to go out of it and not do anything. If you click change data, you're going to get a double check because this has got to recalculate everything. So are you sure you want to change the vibration, the harmonic being evaluated? Well, if you want to see the 7 family, you've got to say yes. So here it is. It's Frequency Finder is recalculating. And there you see 7 times everything, and you can see what order the vibrations are in. And as you'll notice on the right side, things get really, really, really big. I'm usually a lot more inclined to look at the left side when I'm looking at a family of vibrations than the right side. Now, okay, so now we've got this modified chart in here. What do we do now? You need to go back. If you want to get back to your original chart that you started with, you go back to click on Change Vibration Base again, and it's already there. See, it's got Use Source Data checked. So all you have to do is click Change Data again, and yes, I want to do it, and it's going to go back. It's going to take you back to where you started from. Now, okay, so here's the information about that. If you want to read it, how to go back to the original chart. Okay, the next thing we want to talk about is reports. This is the button down here at the bottom, at the very bottom, and the report button will bring up this window. When this, okay. First of all, you can change the name of the report. That's why it's highlighted here. You can make it whatever you want to call it. And then you've got an option. You could select top 10 hit list, and you can check both of them. You could also select chart information, or you could not select chart information. You could just do top 10 hit list, or you can just select chart information and not worry about the top 10 hit list. Okay, so when you select top 10 hit lists, it's going to print out the information from those 4 reports I showed you. The Quincunx is the north node, the south node, and the augmented HyperMidpoints. And it's going to make a file. So here. All right, it doesn't take very long because there's not that much information there. And it's going to say here, give you the name of the report, and it's in my printout subdirectory. So it's here to remind you every time. This is a subdirectory of Sirius, Kepler, or Pegasus. You go to your main directory that you've got Sirius in, or Kepler, or Pegasus, and you will find a whole bunch of file folders. One of them will say My Printout. And in that folder, you will see something that, if you did this report, sample chart for natal chart, TTTL.text. That means top 10 hit list, or it's supposed to mean top 10 hit list. I think I put in an H instead of a T, IT instead of an H. But anyway, I didn't even realize that till now. Okay, so that's if you just want to do the top 10 hit list. And that's what's talked about here. Now, all right, if you check on chart information, you're going to get some extra things displayed. Okay. All right. So let me go back in there. All right. If you check on chart information, you're going to get the option to select one of these. And ordered vibrations is just the stuff on the main page that you see right there. Ordered patterns in each vibration is the top part of the detail chart, of the detail page. And ordered details in vibration patterns is going to be basically everything you can see on the detail page. It's a pretty long report. It takes a little longer to do, but you do end up with a lot of information. So the same thing, if you've done that one, you just click create report, it's going to create the report, it's going to tell you where it is. So that's all there is to the reports. There is not a printout report. I make a file folder, you can print it, a file, you can print it out if you want. Okay. And of course, as I already showed you, you can select both of those. Now, the last thing I want to go over on this main page is setup. We've covered all the control buttons, except we haven't talked about this modulus pattern. That's because we have to go to setup. And when you originally get the program, this will be blank. It'll be just white space. And that's because a lot of people aren't going to need to use the modulus pattern unless they've had some training in how to use it. Then it's not going to be of much value to them. To get to setup, you go to About here. See, there's the Vibrations tab and then the About tab. When you get to the About tab, you can select Settings here. And this comes up. Now, you can have the modulus, when you first come into Frequency Finder and you pull up this settings file, Show Modulus will not be checked, Include HyperMidpoint Scores will be checked. All right, if you want to see the modulus, you have to check it, and then you have to click Save. If you click Cancel, it won't do any good. All right, also, some people would like to see what their scores are like without the HyperMidpoints, and if you uncheck this, Include HyperMidpoint Scores, then you will see the calculation of the chart and what's going on with it without including the HyperMidpoints. I really think they're critical and important. They give you better information. If you include them, it gives you better information on what your strongest vibrations are, but each person has to make their own choices. So for myself, I keep both of them checked. Now this advanced button down here gets pretty deeply into vibrational astrology theory, and I would just recommend you leave it and don't change it. So, okay, so save, exit, and you're going to have to confirm that you want to do this sometimes. Basically, if you've changed the HyperMidpoint scores, then it's going to tell you need to recalculate the chart. So let's do that, because I clicked on the box and clicked it off and on, so it thinks I changed it. All right, now I have it's got the calculation, but I got to go back to the main page. I can either click on the vibrations tab up here, or I can click on this great big button. And there you are, you're back with the main page. So, as I've said before, there's another video on the things you can do with the detail window. And I hope that you find Frequency Finder to be enjoyable and that it's very useful to you. It's the program I wanted to manage the chart and figure out what's going on with the vibrations. And by working with David and figuring out how to make it an add-on to Sirius, it becomes a program you can use too. Have a great day.